Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brothers Take podcast, the podcast where three brothers give their take on gaming each and every week. And in this week's episode, I'm delighted to say that we are going to be starting our spoiler cast for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. However, this is going to be a spoiler cast in progress because this is a massive game. We have absolutely not finished it. We are at certain points in the game, and as we go along, we will every so often do an episode where we talk about a chunk of the game. I feel like if we left it all to the end to then do a spoiler cast, like I know when we did Remake, it became a two-parter with Mr. Brian Roberts, which was great. I feel like with this one, it'd be even harder to try and contain it in,
harder
like
for
one
you.
conversation.
I wouldn't mind.
Big game, you know? So that's why we're going to do it this way. And we've got a good chunk to talk about in this week's episode because we're going to be talking about the first continent. So that is, and including the ship journey. So the first 5 chapters of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is what we're going to be discussing today. And we are discussing them as if you have played them. And there may also be spoilers for the original Final Fantasy VII, for Remake, and the compilation as a whole. Because this is the lens through which we are playing it. So if you're a fan of all that stuff, if you're playing the game, great, welcome to the discussion. If you're watching someone stream it, great, welcome to the discussion. Or if you don't care and you're already familiar with the original and you just want to listen to like what are like 3 hardcore fans of Final Fantasy VII thinking of the new game and the stuff that's going on in it, and does it sound good enough that you want to pick it up, then you are very welcome to the discussion. But we want to hear from you guys too. So if you're watching YouTube, make sure you jump down into the comments at any point to share your thoughts on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth so far. Are you enjoying it? What are your highlights? And what do you think of everything that we bring up in the episode? Make sure you jump down. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell for all future content, including when we do our follow-up discussions on the rest of Rebirth. And to those who listen to us on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and X at The Brothers Take again to give your take on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's finally here. We're finally playing it. So now, let's discuss it.
I was so close to saying, when you were saying, listen to hardcore fans discuss it.
Yeah?
I was going to say, we will leave a link to Maximilian Dude in the description.
Well, actually, look, honestly, if you are playing this game or interested in this game at all, you should always, no matter how many podcasts you listen to or discussions you listen to or whatever, always go check out Maximilian Dude. The guy should be part of the promo material or whatever for the third game. Like, the guy should be just included in. He should have to do the announcement at the state of play or something. Like, he should be because the guy is just fucking loves this shit. Like, you could show him anything from it and he loses his mind.
I
anyway.
think it would be a better idea to
Yeah.
put him in the
In
game.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
And
He
have
would-
the
He
character
would
model.
cry so hard.
He would.
You could just have a
Actually-
character. Yeah.
Who's just crying because he sees Cloud. He's like, "Oh my god, you're
Yeah.
better than this."
Or
This
maybe-
is exactly
maybe-
how I thought
maybe-
you would look like.
Maybe he's crying over a game of Queen's Blood for some
Oh my
reason.
God.
And his name is Ned. I don't know. But anyway, so for some reason, if you're still listening and you're still wondering, like, oh, is there going to be a point where there's no spoilers here on out. So, let's start with. We probably won't talk a lot on Chapter 1 because we actually already have a spoiler talk on most of, because it was in the demo. We talked about it quite in depth at the time. The whole Nibelheim flashback and that kind of thing. So there's not, we probably won't repeat ourselves on that because guys can go check that out. But there is some other stuff there that wasn't in the demo. For example, the game starts a little bit differently than just starting immediately with the flashback. And I remember saying when we were talking about the flashback, I was like, oh man, I kind of wish we didn't know that the first person you play as is Sephiroth. Like, I kind of wish that was a surprise. And then it was like, when it went gameplay to Zack, I went, what is happening? I put the controller down. I was like, what the fuck? This is what is happening. So we got a brief moment where we started the game as Zack. Did this surprise you guys, or you're like, yeah, no, that kind of lines up with maybe what I expected?
That definitely surprised me. Part of me kind of forgot because in that opening cinematic of Zack finding out what the hell is going on in Sector 7, and I kind of forgot that in the trailer they also show Barrett, Red 13, and Tifa being dead, hauled off and dead. Midgar is destroyed, um,
Or injured at least.
injured, something I don't know. Yeah, well, it looked.
It's not. It's
Incapacitated.
not clear.
I don't
Not clear
know.
if they're dead or not. Yeah.
They can use a Phoenix down on him. I'm sure that'll be fine then. But yeah, so that was really surprising and really cool. And that mystery is I want to know more, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the only part you're playing as Zack. That's the only time really you're seeing him within the first continent. And so I am very interested. Like, why is this happening? What's going on? And playing as Zack was very cool. He's a very different kettle of fish to the Cloud.
Yeah, he's got a few different moves, isn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely
Ways-
different.
A lot
his
more
animations.
punches and kicks.
Yes. Yeah, he's melee focused as well. Like, yeah. What did you think, Adam, of opening as Zack?
Well, we knew that we were going to play as him in this at some point. We just didn't guess was going to be the beginning. I guess that makes
First
sense
thing, yeah.
considering that's like the end of the first game to open up that way. It does actually line up very well.
Yeah,
And it
feels like
does-
just picking up right where you left off.
Yeah, it is. It does give you that kind of intrigue. It's kind of like the Leonardo DiCaprio waking up at the beginning of Inception, just kind of like, okay, where's this going? You know, just almost give you the conclusion without giving you the answers a little bit, and then allow the story to carry through. And yeah, I am intrigued to see how this all aligns. Like, what the hell is going on? There's a little sprinkles throughout the first few chapters, at least, where there's something going on with Aerith. So that's obviously
Right.
tying
What the
in
hell
somehow.
is right? So okay, not to jump around too much, but like just while we're on that topic, like, so yeah, Aerith is at times in a room talking to a voice. There's a question mark
Yeah, that's
in the
like
subtitles. It
embodied by
sounds like
Red.
Zack, is it? But
No,
Red
I don't think
13 is
it's-
there?
I don't think it's Zack.
Maybe it's not.
I don't think it sounds like Zack.
What
But
do you guys think that is?
I have absolutely no
I-
idea what that is.
Yeah, I have a fucking clue.
So with that, it's like I don't know. Is Air talking to somebody else, or is this Cloud's mind being fucking weird?
Oh,
Is
like
he
maybe she's
hearing-
not talking to anyone at all?
Well, she was talking to, like, we're talking about that's in Under Junon, isn't it? When that section happens,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
moment you're talking about, and Red 13 walks out. Maybe because Cloud's mind so fucked, he hears a different voice. You know what I mean? But that's
she was just chatting away to Red, like.
just chatting to Red, yeah, and so that's another mystery. It's like,
Maybe.
what's going on there?
There's definitely something there, right?
Yeah.
There's something going on there, which is interesting too. So there's a few there's a few new things that even if you know the original are compelling reasons to be like, okay, I want to keep playing to see, like, because I don't even know, like, when's the next time we're gonna see Zack. You know what I mean? Like, when's the next time we're going to get a little bit more of that, or are we, or is that something that they're holding off till the end again, or so yeah, it's a good reason to like keep playing and figure that stuff out. But so then we get like the Nibelheim flashback again. We've talked about that in quite detail, and there's that last little bit. Then Cloud gets to the reactor. Sephiroth killed Tifa's father. That all lines up with, you know, the original. We remember that. But it's really cool seeing him do the, and I know they kind of showed it in the trailer. It's really cool seeing Sephiroth do the swipe across Tifa.
Yeah.
It's a really great shot. And then to come back to Kalm, one of my favorite things in Rebirth so far is that they are finally having Tifa be like, Cloud?
Yeah.
You weren't there. What the fuck are you talking about? And then Sephiroth like showed up being all like, you know, you saw me kill her. Like, she's dead, man. I wouldn't listen to her. And he's all like, where have you been actually, Tifa? And you know, I love that dynamic. I was like, I feel bad. They're having a fight already. Like, what's going on here? I don't want to fight you, Tifa. I love you.
Do you feel like that conversation happened a little too soon, though?
No, I think that's one of the complaints of the original is like, why is Tifa not fucking saying anything?
No,
when you find out later, you know?
What I mean is the conversation that they have on the rooftop between the two. Like, I feel like they needed to let that stew a little bit.
Okay.
Even for the player. as well to be like, yeah, what the fuck, like, allow that some time and allow a little bit of a tension between the two of them on this journey. But it's actually, I guess, when they finally confront each other, I don't know when would be the right time to do that, but
I know what you mean.
I feel like maybe that conversation on the rooftop was probably a little too soon.
Okay, yeah. I like the conversation though, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like I like the tensions there. I was listening to another podcast, and someone pointed out that because they had that scene now, it gave them a different context to, like, so when you're playing the Nibelheim flashback and you go into Tifa's house and you can go up to the bowl on the ground, and she's like, "Oh, do you remember my cat? What was his name again?" And he's like, "Was it Fluffy?" And it's like, Tifa's not remembering. She's fucking shit testing him.
Yeah.
She wants to see how much does he actually know. I was like, that is fucking brilliant. So she's really just like interjecting in the story to be like, how much do you actually remember, you know? Which I'm like, oh, that's actually fucking genius. So they're small details, but like
there's a lot
throughout, there's interactions with Tifa throughout that are a little bit like she's kind of constantly testing.
Yeah.
It actually happens to Junon again, doesn't it? Where he's like, "You're testing me again, aren't you?" And
she's
like,
like, "Yeah, I am. Sorry."
Yeah, I am.
There's a lot of
I
little
love
things
that.
with each of the characters that are like Red 13 does his little growl very often, which is something obviously an animation that occurred in the OG, and what I really love as well is the way when you get to play as Barrett, and you interact with objects, you're just shooting them all, right? Because in the original, like every time he got a little bit like worked up, he just start shooting everywhere, right? It's like they brought that characterization and made it a gameplay component. I just thought that was really, I know that was technically in remake as well, but just seeing all these little bits that are kind of personality traits from the original and integrating them so well with each individual character, I think is done really, really well here.
Yeah, and even like when you meet Yuffie, and she, like in Under Junon, and she's all like sa, you know, like she she does that little thing, which is again an animation lifted from the original, and she does it really well. I think like the voice actor makes it convincing as just something that she does to like psych herself up, or to be like, you can't hurt me, I'm tougher than I look, kind of thing. Or I think it works really well. But the characters here are amazing. I think
the way they actually bring Yuffie into the story, and integrate her into the story and into the party, I think is really well done here. Because I think before, like in the original, like her and Vincent are so, oh, you found a new character, enjoy, I guess. You know, it's just like, I'll come with you now. Whereas here, it's like really giving her a purpose, and she's not, like, obviously not fully integrated into the party just yet. It's just the way that she's introduced and the reason she's there at that moment, I think, is really interesting.
Well, before we get to Junon even, what did you guys think of Kalm? That we could finally walk around. Eric, what did you think of Kalm?
Jesus, like, I think in the game, wasn't it just like 6-7 buildings? And now it's like this big, full-fledged town that is, I wouldn't necessarily say bustling with life, but definitely has life. And so I like, because this is the first location you actually get to really roam around, apart from Nibelheim. And I was just like, holy crap, this is only the first location. We got to go to Under Junon, and wherever else there was. Like, and I was like, how much is there going to be to this game? And there is so much to this game.
There's a lot.
But like, Kalm was such a nice like introduction. You know, it was what its name says, Kalm. It's a calm little time that you have to kind of just roam around, talk to people, do whatever it is, and kind of interact with the party and stuff. And then it nicely introduced that that kind of bonding system.
Yes.
You know, it was so I thought it was a nice area to get you used to the moving and looking mechanics, before moving on to Shinra popping down and getting on with the grander story.
I found it hard to leave because I just wanted to listen to the music. I was just running around being like, I love this. This is amazing. And I wanted to hear every conversation going on in every nook and cranny, and just like it makes it feel like a real fleshed out world. I'm shocked, and I'm gonna ask you a question in a second. But I am fucking shocked. So remake was obviously the Midgar portion, and we knew they were going to expand on it because you need to make it into a full game. But if there's a small screen you walk past in the original, they turned it into a full dungeon or something in remake, right? They expanded on it that much. They expanded on it so heavily. And I was like, well, now that there's a lot more ground to cover, they're not going to keep up that pacing, right? They got to kind of move on a little bit. And they are keeping up that pacing. I'm fucking blown away by it. I'm like, Jesus, like if something in the original was literally 2 seconds, now it's a big fucking 2-hour quest or something. Like they're blowing everything up, and I'm like, there's so much ground to cover, but they're not like, there's no compromise here, or at least it doesn't feel like there is in a lot of cases. Has this game so far met your expectations going in? Has it exceeded expectations, or has it not even, or did you expect more so far from what you've played?
I try to keep no expectations for nearly everything I go into.
That's hard though, right? When you're
it is hard. It is very hard. But that's the thing with me looking forward to something. I'm looking forward to just experiencing it rather than looking forward to, I can't wait for them to do that thing. Because sometimes I find that when you have like an expectation of what you're expecting something to be, you get disappointed.
Right.
Now, yes, usually you have like it is very hard to not go into something when you've seen trailers or gameplay or whatever it is, to not have some idea of what it is. And then, I mean, like, how many movies have we watched where we went, oh, that looks great, and then we watch and go, that was a load of shite and nothing like the trailer. So in that case, but in this case, this game, the holy fuck, like it is beautiful. It's so lovely to go around the grasslands, to go around the Junon region, and the combat again is so fucking, it is yet again really fun. And the integration of swapping out party members is done so well and so nice. There's certain things in gameplay where I'm a bit like, oh, you changed that from remake, and I don't really know why you did that, but
yeah,
you had your reasons. But even at that, even like the integration and fluidity of music when you're going around. So you just have the world music to go into battle music, to then call in your chocobo, getting on the chocobo, and then the chocobo has their music. But in different areas, the chocobo's music might be slightly different.
Yeah.
You know, and different areas.
Like, yeah, you go back towards Midgar.
Yeah,
and
music changes.
And you get the instrumental of Hollow.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit. And then you get into a battle there, and you get a battle team of Hollow.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, wow. Like, this is insane, man. It's like, this is going to be everywhere? You know what I mean?
And it is.
It is everywhere.
It is everywhere. There's different areas where you're listening to the travel music, and then you're in combat, and it's the combat version of that music. Yeah. I was like, that is fucking fair play to the composer to be able to come up with all those different variations of the music.
Adam, has this game so far exceeded your expectations, met your expectations, or does it have yet to meet your expectations?
The areas that did exceed my expectations was that the music aspect of it. Like that was the one area where that was my holy fuck moment when I was playing the game. Like it specifically when the variations of battle teams, I really wasn't expecting just how diverse that was, and there's a ton of game to go yet. The other area that kind of exceeded my expectations, most of it was like, okay, I kind of expected quite a lot of this, but I suppose the three areas that exceeded was the music, the size of some of the locations. There are areas where
crazy.
There's like, so if you go back to the demo, the Junon area, outside of that, that one area in the demo kind of felt like, okay, that's probably it, maybe, right?
Right.
And it just kept kind of
nuts.
It kind of just kept going, and going.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of can't remember the name of the dwarven realm in God of War. What's that called?
Like
Svartalheim.
Svartalfheim?
Svartalheim. Yeah. It kind of reminded me of that a little bit, just like how it just keeps going. And the more
Just
you
gets bigger
explore,
and
you're like,
bigger.
oh, there's another thing, and then there's another thing, and then there's areas where you're like, okay, this is obviously going to mean something at some point, and then you do a quest, and then it gives it context. So that was something I wasn't really expecting. I was definitely expecting, obviously an open world, but this is one of the few I wouldn't really call it an open world game. I think God of War is the closest I would
It's
kind of
open
compare.
sections, right?
Yeah, God of War, I
Also.
think Ragnarok specifically is the closest to it. It's bigger than Ragnarok in terms of the exploration and the freedom. You're not so tied to a path, but in terms of you've got a loaded area and you can do a lot of exploring in that loaded area. You can't walk from one side of the continent to the next, so it wouldn't be like Horizon in terms of open world.
Or Skyrim, for example.
Ragnarok, I think, is probably the closest thing to it. The other thing, I think the population in areas, they've definitely, I think that's one of the areas where, because I remember when I was playing the demo, I was like, why isn't this on PS4? Like, realistically, like, why can't this be on PS4? Loading is one reason, but I think actually
It's so fast.
population density and the amount of conversations that are happening at one time, I think, is another. And I do think, like, yes, you could reduce all of that down and then put it on put it on previous console, but I do think that would harm the experience if you're in something like Kalm and not seeing that many people on the streets. I think if it would just feel empty, it wouldn't feel alive.
Well, this game so far for me is, I mean, it's doing a lot of things, but it's actually reaching the potential that Final Fantasy 15 had in terms of being a journey through a big world that feels lived in. When you actually play 15, there's not enough towns, there's not enough diversity, there isn't enough people, and as a result, it doesn't quite go you're hinting at things or you're laying things out, but you're just not quite making the landing. And this game is like, wow, this feels like a real world, and there's even like little farms and outposts you can meet along the way, and there's people there, and they have interactions, and they have storylines, and there's lots of characters with side stories, and they feel fleshed out, and they feel important, and even doing side quests, your companions get something out of it, or it deepens your relationships with them, which makes even the silliest thing of looking for flowers worthwhile, especially then when you come back and Billy and Chloe, you're basically find out that they're orphans and they lost their parents somehow, and you're like, what? You gave the little Chocobo Billy kid a backstory? Like, how far does this go? Are you implying Sam got their parents killed? What does that mean? I can't wait to find out. And Chloe is the nicest little kid. Leave her alone. But I'm just really impressed with how fleshed out they're making this world. And you're like, if this is going to remain that consistent with every town you go to and every region you go to, like, this is going to be... And we are at that point in Final Fantasy VII OG where it is now a Final Fantasy game, if you know what I mean, in the classic sense. Like, the Midgar section is so iconic and stands out so much because it's kind of nothing like a Final Fantasy game. Yeah. It's the real, like, whoa, this game is, like, edgy and cutting. But this was the moment where you leave Midgar and suddenly it turns into Final Fantasy. And we're in that now. This is the most modern-ass Final Fantasy game ever. You know, it's got your chocobos and your moogles and your exploration and deep secrets and summons, and like, it's got all that shit. It's very impressive, the amount of content in this. And I went in playing it being like, I'll do a little bit of side stuff, the stuff that's useful, but then I'm moving on. I'm not going to get caught in all this, right? Then you're running around and does that Ghost of Tsushima shit, where you're like, oh, there's the bird. Well, I might as well follow it. Oh, look, I'm doing this now. Oh, well, it told me about something nearby. Well, I might as well go do it. It's nearby. And then you get into this big boss fight with something. You're like, wow, that's cool. And like, before you know it, you're like, what? 10 hours in chapter 2? What the fuck? I don't know. Did you guys get sucked into all the side stuff, or are you sick of it already?
I did all of them. Well, most of them in most regions, minus the combat ones. I actually don't find the combat ones fun. I
think we're all on the same page.
We're all on the same page. I don't do the combat ones.
Yeah, I did a few of them, but I was just like, yeah, isn't as engaging as some of the other side quests.
Yes.
I might come back around to it if I am looking for an opportunity to do up my characters.
Did you do the legendary fight in each area so far, though?
No.
They are worthwhile because the music alone is fucking incredible, and the enemy that you fight will be something that's like you won't find it anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, it's just it's some of them are, especially where I'm at on level wise, they're quite challenging, I have to say.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I think I do need to level up before I tackle some of them, because some of them are actually higher than me.
Okay. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I don't do the fight ones unless I'm going to something and they're just there on my path, and it's like, okay, well, I'll just do it then. That and Queen's Blood are like the only two things I don't do.
The Queen's Blood I'm fucking loving.
This is so interesting to me. Like, there's such a some people. That's all I'm hearing about. They fucking love Queen's Blood.
I want that
Blood
to be a
has
real
become,
thing.
Like, and when I heard Eric say, because Eric told me that he's done with Queen's Blood, he's not playing it anymore. He's sick of it, right?
I've rage quitted
which was
Queen's
so
Blood.
interesting to me because of how much other people like it. And what I'm curious about is, and I haven't played enough of The Witcher to know, right? And I know you love Gwent, Eric, and you
Gwent
told
is
me
fantastic.
that Queen's Blood is like a pale impression. What'd you say?
Like a pale comparison or a pale imitation?
Imitation. That's what you said. A pale imitation of Gwent, right? What I'm wondering though is like, how similar are they? And is it a case of, I remember when I first played Spider-Man PS4, I wasn't gelling with the combat, but I was playing it like an Arkham game. And it was only when I realized don't play it like an Arkham game and play it as it is that I started to enjoy it. Are you playing Queen's Blood like Gwent? And is it that that's not how you play the game? Or am I
don't think they're anything alike.
I have no idea. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, they're not it, and they're like, apart from the fact that you have a selection of cards that have a value, and a picture like that corresponds with something within the world. Other than that, actual gameplay
is nothing alike.
Nothing alike. It's really different tactics. In that Gwent actually requires tactics, and it's better.
Oh no, Queen's Blood does require tactics.
No, it does.
Queen's Blood
requires tactics.
Queen's Blood is basically chess, but it's like you don't have the pieces there, right? The pieces are random, and each piece now has a unique movement rather than a predetermined movement. So it's not a traditional trading card game kind of thing, and I think it is actually so easy to learn. I think that's what I like about Queen's Blood. It's so easy to learn, but it's very difficult to master. I think
very difficult to master. I found myself last night I was playing it actually, and I finally whooped ass. I finally got a deck loadout that was giving me options where I was like, oh fuck yes, now I'm on top. I found it really hard to edit my deck, where I was like, I just don't really know what, like I'm reading what they do, but until I use them in context, I don't really get how to use them. And I'm also really glad at the beginning, the mulligan thing, because I'm always but if I toss them out, I might get worse ones. I don't really know which ones I want to start with.
No, I just basically would go like, okay, do I have any ones? Grand, then I'm fine. If I don't have a ones, then mulligan.
Yeah, you got to mulligan them out, right?
Yeah.
But there is a part of me that wishes I had access, like that it wasn't just the 5 cards at random, that you had access to the whole deck, and that you were always choosing strategically. However, then that does take the kind of luck aspect out of it, which is, it's a card game. There's a blend of skill and a blend of luck. Like, did you get the right card you needed at the right time, and did you use it well?
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm enjoying it. And I thought it was just a side activity. Now, I won't go into it because Eric hasn't got there.
I'm never going to get there.
You probably should. I was playing someone, and then something happened, and it seems like there's a storyline to Queen's Blood. Adam, did you see this?
I don't think so.
Oh, dudes. Okay. I'm going to keep playing Queen's Blood. I'm going to put it that way.
You can tell us how it goes. Unless there's a trophy,
I
I am not playing
no,
Queen's
because
Blood.
Adam will. Adam will.
I will play Queen's Blood. The only area I didn't do it in is actually under Junon. That's it so far.
Right. So I did the under Junon stuff. I got to play a guy, and then there was a cutscene, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And now I'm really interested in where Queen's Blood goes. There's more to Queen's Blood than just a card game. That's all.
I imagine so. I do
no,
prefer
see,
it. I do prefer it over, as much as I enjoy Fort Condor. I prefer playing Queen's Blood over Fort Condor.
You shut your goddamn mouth. No, my joking.
Like I did the Grasslands, and I was fine with the Grasslands.
You whooped ass in the Grasslands.
I was like, okay, like there was a few times where I was like, oh, this is a bit tricky. Now I'm getting used to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to Under Junon, and I was like, this is what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I
It's just
defeated
like
one person
it just
there.
it went from Uncharted to Bloodborne, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I think the one
It
where it got
does
tricky
get
for me
tricky.
was where you had to defeat the two kids.
The two people. Yeah.
So I
Oh
defeated,
yeah.
defeated
They
one,
made me rage quit.
and then the second one I was like, okay, I don't think my deck is good enough yet. I'll come back
The
to
only
this.
time I got annoyed at Queen's Blood was when I had to forfeit the tournament on the boat.
That I actually
I couldn't see it through. I got to level 3 and I just couldn't. And I kept trying different people, and I was like, I don't know if it's my cards that I have. Maybe I don't have good enough ones, or did I miss something along the way? I should have bought better cards or something. But I was like, I am not able to beat any of these people. And then I was at a point where I was like, I kind of want to see something cool before I go to bed. And I'm on the boat, and I know something cool is going to happen. You know what I mean? So I got to where I was like, I'm just going to forfeit this. I'll come back to Queen's Blood later on. But I don't know if you complete that, do you get something good for it?
I
There's a
can't.
Is it
trophy, at
worthwhile,
least.
or is
I
it
can't
just a trophy?
remember. You do get a trophy.
Yeah, it's
I
probably
can't
just a
remember if I got
completionist
anything
thing.
for it.
I got to the last one and then quit out of that one because I was just again getting really fucking pissed off with Queen's Blood. So
Okay.
I whooped ass.
How about
good job, Adam.
How about Moghouse, Eric? Are you digging that?
I think that could be my
That's the
least
mini
favorite
game where
mini game.
yeah, I'm drawing the line there.
No, I do that one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You enjoying that one?
No, I don't enjoy it. I just do it because
It's
it's easy.
wacky.
I don't get it. I'm like, how does this fit
It's
within the
tripping
world
out,
of Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah, well, it was in
Oh.
the original Moghouse.
Was it?
Oh yeah, that's not something they made up for this. Yeah, that's in the original. Hell yeah.
That
It was, but in the original, I think you had to get two Moogles to bang each other and make children. You know,
Brilliant.
it was the Mog
Where's that
dating
one?
sim. Yeah.
No, it's just
Smash
like
Square.
Mog smash.
That compared to like the Remna Wave towers or
Right.
some of the other stuff. There is like so yeah, they have like an Assassin's Creed element to it, I suppose. You have to climb up these towers and
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
you slot your yoke on their yoke.
The Chad
And
module.
The Chad module, thank you.
Good old Chadley.
And activates the tower, and it's like, okay, well there's a story behind that. It was built by the Republic of Junon back in the day before Midgar became
Yeah.
what
Mhm.
it was, and so like, but then the Mog House is just all right. This is a thing. This is wacky Final Fantasy. I don't know how the fuck this fits
It's like
in.
now it's a Final Fantasy game. You know what I mean? There's fucking Moogles in the world and chocobos and weird shit. You know, this is like, can't wait to start finding tonberries out in the wild and being like, I don't want to fight that. You know what I mean? This is where we're at.
Out of
I'm
all
finding
the
as well.
discoverable
Oh God, sorry.
stuff, the discoverable stuff, my favorite stuff is the where you go to the temples for the divines. And you have to
Pretty cool.
synchronize with it.
Music
The
alone.
music, yeah, the music is.
I
fucking class.
love that mechanic of like, okay, you can get the summon if you want,
But good
or
luck.
You can do this to try and reduce, its strength while increasing its abilities if you get it right. I love
Yeah.
that element of like, you get to set your own challenge that way. Like, what if you're not into exploring and you prefer combat? Go straight in. If you love exploring, here's a little reward at the end of it.
Yeah, go seek them out. Plus, it's a cool, like, I still don't love that how you get summons is through battling them in a VR simulator to create the materia. But this at least allows you that out in the world, there's an aspect to discovering the summon, or at least
I love.
the summon has a role in the world. Like, they're deities in the region.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
and I love
cool.
the lore behind Titan and Phoenix. They're the two that you have. on the
So
first
far.
continent.
Mm.
And yeah, the lore behind them is fucking class.
I have to say, I did not get Phoenix. I will return back at some point to get Phoenix. That
Oh,
absolutely
no.
fucked me.
yeah. Phoenix is cool, man. You see, to tell you the truth, there's aspects of Under Junon that you don't have access to unless you do a particular side quest that then opens up more of the map to you.
Right.
So it depends on whether you did all the side quests in Under Junon or not. Will determine whether you can finish off. Same with like the Proto Relic quest.
Yeah.
Adam, have you been doing the Proto Relic quests?
I have, except for, again, the Junon stuff I kind of left a bit.
Okay.
Because
it's
Well, this explains how you caught up with me pretty fast then, because you just
Well,
went,
I actually just found a lot of the Junon area stuff. Yeah, it in terms of challenge, I think it just really ranked up. Like, I was expecting more of a challenge out of the Mithril Caves, I have to say. That was a fucking breeze. I was
Mithril mines weren't bad.
Yeah, I don't know why I always felt like in the original that was kind of a pain in the hole.
Yeah.
I think it's a pain hole to get around.
Yeah, maybe
That's
was
what it is. You keep you're looking for the way out, and then you just keep getting interrupted with fights, and you're just like, I'm just backtracking a little bit because I went the wrong way. Fucking.
But yeah, I was having a kind of a rough time with Fort Condor, I have to say, so I kind of just abandoned ship and moved forward.
Okay, I was just wondering, did you actually see that though? So that's all I was curious about. They have made it way harder than it was in Intermission.
That's
Fort Condor,
Intermission.
Yeah.
In Intermission, you got new units, so you were able to deck out your units to have like better ones.
But as well, they've changed the rules where in Intermission it was whoever has done the most damage to the other enemy in the time limit wins.
Yeah.
This time around, you have to defeat the enemy layer or you lose. And there was times where I was down to like the last 2 seconds, and I was like, "You fuckers! Like, I'm so close." Like, come on.
I'm not enjoying it as much as I did in the previous one.
I love how it's implemented. Like, I think it's really cool that you discover this thing and the art style to it and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But there's some of the rule changes where I'm like, that's not as fun as Intermission was in that sense. But still cool to have Fort Condor, and I still look forward to possibly going to real Fort Condor maybe later in the game.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Who knows? I'm Ron Burgundy.
Because you get to see the big fucking bird. Like, you can see it on the island over there. And you're like, if I had a boat or a plane, maybe I would go there, you know?
What are your favorite moments so far? Up to you get to the ship, right? Or firstly,
the parade.
What piece were you really looking forward to? And did it actually meet that?
Oh, you know the answer to that. Here we go. Okay, fine. You want to hear my one disappointment so far? Yeah, the fucking snake. Come on. You guys know I was looking forward to seeing the snake impaled on the tree. I'm not crazy on how it was done.
Wow.
Yes, because you did say before it was that you didn't want to see that happen.
No, I didn't. Yeah, so when it did... Now, don't get me wrong. Sephiroth floating in the water there.
Yeah.
And the music, I was like, oh, this is sick, right? But it's just the way it went up, and no lightning behind, and no blood, and then the party being like, let's move on. But there was no sense of like, we are fucked.
Right.
And that's the feeling I wanted, you know what I mean? So this is one of those things where I'm like, it's cool, it's not quite how I would have done it. And I also feel like you should have gone into the swamps, got beaten, like on purpose. You come back out, you go back in, you get beaten. Like, that there's a couple that you otherwise, because like this one, you go in, you fight it, and you win, and then it gets killed, and it just sort of feels like, yeah, but I kicked its ass anyway. I was able to beat it. Whereas if you had those fights that you can't win, oh no, okay, it was a challenge for sure, but if you had fights where you cannot beat it at all, and then you go in and it's dead, I felt like that would have captured the spirit of the original.
Yeah, okay.
A little bit better. But Adam, you dig that? You like that?
Yeah, the entire swamp sequence I fucking loved, because I think we were
looked amazing.
Like the light changing when you get down to that bit, the music when you get down to that bit, it just really was ominous, and it's very close to how I would have imagined that they were going to do it, and I didn't think they were gonna. I think they were going to cop out. I don't know what it was. I just felt like, especially after seeing Nibelheim, I thought maybe it was just not going to live up to how eerie I was expecting the swamp area to be. And I think they absolutely delivered on it. I did like the killing of the snake, Midgar Zolom. Is that what they called it now?
Well, they call it the Midgar Sommer.
Sormer, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
It'll take a while to.
I wonder if that's like an
Get used to that.
Eris thing.
I think so. So I think Midgar Zolom is probably a mistranslation.
Yeah, I think because isn't
And
it
that this is
technically
the intended
Sormer
name.
is that is actually the name of the creature in mythology? I think.
Well, yeah, because it's also in 15 as well as the Midgar Sommer. So
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is probably the official. To be
Yeah.
honest, any name we hear in this is
It's
probably
right.
like
Yeah.
this is the right one.
Yeah.
And then,
Like every way they pronounce it is bang on. That's the way it's supposed to be, and people should never complain.
ever, right?
Right.
So when a cat character comes along later on, you just eat
That's-
it up, man. That's how it is.
Whatever they call it, that's it. 100%.
That's just how it is. So okay, but
I was
on
when
that
I
note
was
then-
playing. Pagan was sitting next to me, and she's never seen Final Fantasy before. But she was
Is
watching.
she digging it?
Well,
Please tell me she's
she only
digging it.
kind of comes in every now and then, and when she saw the fight with the snake, that was
Please dig
so yeah. She was like on edge because that was
Yeah.
getting very, very tight. The
I
amount
loved
of
seeing,
Phoenix down I had to use.
but the bare trees on fire just looked sick. Like
Yeah.
that looked deadly.
Yeah,
And like I don't get me, when I say I was disappointed about the snake thing, it's not that I hated the whole thing. I love the atmosphere and how the place looks and everything. I just wish the execution of the snake was slightly different. But
that's your
you,
that's your like the way I was with the fire of Nibelheim and Sephiroth walking
Kind
through.
of.
It's like you have
where
this
it's like it's
thing.
not hitting quite right. Yeah.
I understand why they didn't have the whole you go in, you get beaten thing, and I really like how they executed it, which is the reason you get the chocobo, and because obviously in the original it was you go there, you can't get across, so you have to go get a chocobo and then get across. And the way to tell the story here, I think, is really, really well done while still holding true to it. I was wondering, how and when they were going to do the whole impale snake thing, and I think it was a bit of a surprise to me what they did.
Yeah. I liked the way its tail kind of wiggled to death as it wrapped around the tree. Like I did think the animation of it was cool.
Yeah.
But you asked, so that was because you said, is there anything so far that hasn't kind of lived up to an expectation, or that you were a bit disappointed?
No, that's not the question. That's how you took it. That's not what my question was.
Oh, what's the question?
Question was, what bit were you looking forward to, and did it live up?
Oh,
Ooh.
Like, which bit were you looking forward to the most, up to where we are, and did it
right. So it would have been that, but second to that, then I would say in this section, the parade.
Okay.
I fucking loved everything in Upper Junon. And I mean everything. I loved the kind of Soviet Russia style take on the parade team.
Yeah.
I loved Rufus. I loved his speech. I loved when he was talking to Cloud and being like, that was a first class performance, Cloud Strife. I was like,
That's such a Bond villain reveal kind of thing.
It was great.
Yeah.
I loved
Or
that.
is it
Yuffie was
Mr.
trying to
Bond?
assassinate him, but then I fucking really loved when you had the party, the 7th Division with you, and they were all like, "But sir, how will we know who's the enemy and who's not?" And Cloud, it's done for fun, but it's kind of fucking dark. Like he's tricked them into killing their own comrades and stuff. And
Yes.
the music was amazing. I loved that whole section. I thought it was incredible.
I think I wasn't expecting a whole lot from Junon. I was looking forward to seeing Junon.
Yes,
But I think so far that has actually become my favorite bit of the game so far. Like the swamp area was probably the thing I was really looking forward to the most up to that point. And they did deliver for me on that. But in terms of exceeding expectations, Junon was incredible. If we could transport ourselves to the world of Final Fantasy, I would want to go visit Junon. I fucking love the architecture.
It's amazing.
That kind of Art Deco, slightly futuristic,
almost like a BioShock location.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kind of
it
had
is.
that, or like the
Yeah, sick.
you know that Undercity in Arkham City, where we're
Yeah.
supposed to be like the city of the future.
Yes,
Thumbs up.
yes,
Yeah.
thumbs up, bro.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
the Batman animated series is that style too. You know,
Mm.
it's like it's
Yeah.
clearly not
Very
the
cool.
30s, but it has a kind of a 30s aesthetic a little bit.
Plus, when you got the CG cutscene, and it was
The cutscenes are
this
amazing.
is
Oh,
fucking
cutscenes are
gorgeous,
Yeah,
absolutely gorgeous.
yeah, I fucking loved Junon, and I did feel
Yeah,
that
it's the
towards
canon.
when I was leaving Junon, and you do have your little unit, and you pretty much turn to them, and when they ask, "Will we see you again?" and he's like,
I felt bad.
"Yeah, I was
I
like."
felt really bad. I was
Well,
like, these
the
guys
reason-
are gonna wait for me forever.
Yeah, well, no, the reason I felt bad about it is like, yeah, you know, we probably will see each other again, but
I'll probably kill you.
yeah, we're going to be on opposite fucking sides though.
Well, I'm starting to wonder because like they're giving every character such an expansion, such a thing. Do you think at some point later in this game we will meet them again,
Probably.
or at least in the third game?
Yeah,
They're- you know what?
yeah.
A part of me thought to myself, I was like, they're gonna again. I think this is third game, but if you've played the original, you would have got this towards the end of the game, which is they're gonna pilot the fucking. They're gonna be the crew of the Highwind.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I think Eric, you are bang on. They are going to be the ones that, yeah, we've defected and we've joined you. We are your crew forever.
That would be sick.
That's amazing. I think you're bang on.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of
Thanks.
wondering, I was like, where are they going with this? Because like everything seems really well thought out. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, there's everything is connected. I even loved how, because I always felt in the original, in terms of the fiends that you encounter in the open world, the ones that always felt a little bit odd was the bandits with,
Yes,
you know, who are standing next to some sort of wolf
Creature or
and
something,
an
yeah.
ostrich thing. I don't know the names of them.
yeah.
But here they've actually did a whole kind of side quest thing. It's the proto relic thing, right?
Yeah,
They managed to incorporate the bandits in the open world grasslands and not feel out of place.
Yeah. Well, because they made them characters
Yeah.
in Remake. Those same guys with the weird fucking bandanas over their heads. Now, I got to a point where I was like, oh, just shut up. Like, but
Yeah,
they
yeah.
talk
I
an
think
awful lot, but-
some of the interactions with some characters are a bit like, okay, this is going on. Even in, like when you go to talk to someone to play Queen's Blood with,
yes.
it's like, okay,
It's like, come on.
let's get on
play
with
Queen's
it.
Blood. Let's go. Eric,
Yeah, just do it like The Witcher. Gwent. Okay, done.
Oh, that would be perfect.
Eric, what was to answer
Oh.
Adam's question? What's the thing that you were most looking forward to, and did it live up to your expectations so far?
Ooh, okay, so this would be in the first continent. Right. Geez, the thing I probably would have been most looking forward to in the game was just seeing how they were going to do the exploration. Because it was
Okay.
more of a curiosity concept,
Yeah.
really. It was more of a I'm wanting to see, is this going to work? Is this going to be a thing a little bit like Dragon Age Inquisition or Mass Effect Andromeda, where they do have these big, great lands that you can explore, but sometimes can feel very barren and it can feel very slow to move around and kind of like, oh, Jesus Christ, I did this mission. Now I have to go all the way over there and do that to continue it. And so that was an element for me that I was like, are these going to be really big, boring, empty, almost like GTA 5? Or are they going to be really well detailed and, and really small? Or are they going to do what they did, which was a perfect size of lots of different things around the place and a little bit more like Ghost of Tsushima, where it's like you go and you do this and you go, oh, sure, that's just over there. Sure, I'll go do that. And so everything is all so well, nicely paced out that you're exploring this quite grand landscape, but it doesn't feel like you're sprinting for fucking ages across
Nothing.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was for
Do you
me.
mean
out of-
MGS5?
What did I say?
GTA
You said
5.
GTA 5.
Which would
I
be the
wasn't gonna say
complete
anything, but
opposite to
I was like,
an empty
I was
world.
like, GTA 5's world design is amazing. You shut your mouth.
I'm surprised you didn't call me on that earlier. Yes,
Okay,
I
you
meant
meant MGS5.
I meant MGS5, but
Yes, yeah.
my brain only really wants to remember good things.
Yeah,
just
no,
GTA 5 world is
it,
fantastic. Yeah.
it is impressive because when you look at the original and it's just one big block of green that you run
Yeah.
across, and you're like, so what will that be? Will it just be a big grass field, or like? And you do envision as like, well, the world of Gaia, as we called it. I don't know if it's called Gaia. They just call it the planet in these games, but
Mm.
like, you always imagined that it was this big, vast world.
Hmm.
And to see it kind of realize this way with all the different layers and cliffs and even looking out at the ocean and little rocks and islands, and you're just like, man, they've captured this world. Like, it looks amazing.
It looks just
I
like that.
It's crazy.
I'm loving also just the especially in the grasslands when you're going around, you see the old ruins and these old aqueducts and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And then you're talking about like the Republic and
And the history,
there's a
yeah.
war there and the history. And I was like, this is my jam. This is these. I
There is
love it
so
when
much
there's-
lore.
Yeah, I love when there's some lore jobs because like I don't remember that from the original game, but I'm assuming that stuff from the compilation.
Yeah, there's a ton of shit in this where I'm like, I actually know nothing about the original. I've come to realize as I'm playing it.
But
Or
there is-
there's a fuck ton of new stuff so well integrated that it's
Yes.
tricking me into thinking I've never played the original.
So it's a blend of both. But
Yeah.
there is like, so for example, I won't say what it is yet, but like later on in the game, you will come across a location that they've given a new backstory,
Hmm.
but it makes it more like believable, and it suddenly has made it one of the most interesting locations in the game. Like, it's so
Yeah.
cool.
There's
And they're constantly doing that with different places.
Yeah, because
And-
there's a
and with the
character.
characters.
There's a character as well in Junon that I'd imagine, Adam, you were a bit like, who the fuck is this guy? He walks into Shinra's Rufus' office to
yes.
talk to
Glenn,
Glenn.
Glenn.
Glenn,
Yeah.
Glenn
Yeah.
Lodbrok.
That's a
Yeah, yeah,
cool
yeah.
Which-
fucking cutscene. I am so intrigued by whatever the fuck's happening there.
Right. Yes.
So
It's
I
interesting.
I am somewhat aware of him. I didn't really like the mannerisms of him in that
Right,
cutscene,
okay.
but I am very intrigued at what was being said and planned and done. It was a bit sort of a bit of a schemy thing going on there in the background, like, and I think that's adding now depth to the world in a different sense. So
Yes.
at first you're exploring the world and you see these ruins and you have these towers and you have all these different people and there are quests and stuff like that. Like, I think one of my favorite designed characters actually in the game is Gabe from
yeah,
Chocobo
The
farm
old
in
dude who used to
the
fight
old
in the
dude-
war.
yeah, and he's topless. He's got these fucking tattoos on him. And it's like, wow, like there's nothing really to you, but yet there's so much to you in just your character design. And
But his
you
voice
are
acting was brilliant.
yeah, and so that like
Go
the
on, Gabe.
exploration and talking to people and stuff is like expanding the world. But now you have this political side that's expanding the world more, making it feel more alive. And there's jigsaw pieces moving.
Those
and
bits
stuff.
kind of reminded me a little bit of Final Fantasy X
Hmm.
in that there's like an older world here with this newer power kind of after taking over a bit. Yeah, there's a lot to it actually. That's like, well, I mean, 10's a lot like 7, I guess. So it's like,
Yes.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. There's
it
shared
lends-
DNA there.
lends itself back. But I'm getting the same level of enjoyment exploring the world as much as I did in 10. I haven't gotten that from a Final Fantasy since then, I think.
Yeah. I think bang on, yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think that cutscene as well gave me kind of feelings of like a Metal Gear Solid plot. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like,
No, it's just so good.
like everyone is just pawns in actually this big political game, and like
Yeah.
even like Yuffie is like trying to do stuff for Wu-Tai, but she's not even aware that the masters of Wu-Tai are secretly behind the plot of like helping Shinra to get a war going because they also want one, and you know, there's like nobody is aware of what's really happening.
It's very cool.
It's kind of cool.
The,
Yeah.
the game, it's, I think with the first one, or remake rather, there's an element of being a little bit more precious with the material, and it's probably because of how linear that bit is. And I think out of, if everyone's played Final Fantasy VII before, you're probably more familiar with the Midgar sequence than you are with any other part of the game, because there's so
100%.
much outside of Midgar that you could actually miss.
Yes.
You might just remember the main story beats.
A lot of it's optional.
The major locations and things like that. And so with the remake, I think the bits that they changed, it's kind of expected that people might be a little bit disappointed with it. with certain
Yep.
aspects of it. But with this one, I kind of feel like this is like when you see a really good adaptation from a book to a TV series or to a film.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, like I'm not overly precious, and I love what you're doing here and the little changes you're making. And as long as you're keeping to some of the, we're going to the same locations and things like that. Like there's an element of familiarity to it, but I'm so excited to see what did you change.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
I don't
what's gonna
mind
happen.
that. As much as it didn't remake, I didn't mind
Yeah.
it. I think Nibelheim is the only bit that left me a bit like, oh. And I think it's only because of how many times we've seen that sequence.
Yeah.
And I think it has
It's
been...
so iconic.
Yeah, and I think it has been done better in the past. Whereas with everything else, it's like I'm not as precious with it.
But I also love that they're taking an opportunity, because they have that reflective kind of like, you can look back on this with a sense of like, we know the full scale of the story and the character arcs. So like, even going through a place like the Mithril Mines, which was just a dungeon in the original, and it's very quick, right? But having that be a moment for Barrett, where it's a character moment, and he starts hinting at the fact that he was once a miner and that he knows about these kinds of things. And then even like that quick moment where Tifa's worried about the guy in the black robes that fell. Cloud's like, he'll be fine, don't worry about him. And Barrett kind of, it's something that could not have been done with the pixel art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Barrett, with just his face, is like, sure, I'll go check him out. And he's really just like, I'm looking out for Tifa.
Yeah, making her feel better. Yeah, it's a
I
beautiful
love it.
moment. Yeah,
Love it. The characters are so good. I fucking love Yuffie. She is funny as fuck.
okay. I
You don't like Yuffie?
Not yet. Anyway, I don't know if I've gotten
Not
to
yet?
a point
Okay.
that so far I do find her annoying, and not.
I think you're supposed to.
No, I get it. It's just that there's certain
Yeah.
elements to her that are like the bit where she's attempting to assassinate. I really love that moment.
Yes.
And her eagerness and the reason why she's wanting to do it. And then there are just other sequences that kind of remind me, I guess. I think the only other version of Yuffie I would have seen was from Advent Children, and this is very close to that one, which was kind of an annoying character as well. I didn't really like her. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, yeah. Look, I'll say no more. But I also I'm really impressed in general with the writing in this game. It's a fucking funny game.
It's great.
I think it's fucking hilarious. I've been laughing out loud so many times. Half the time is just Cloud's reactions to things. And it's not that
Yeah.
he's an inherently funny character, but what they've done is they've kept Cloud a serious kind of grounded character in a goofy ass world covered with goofy people. And every time they say something, like Roach shows up and they're like, "Who's that?" A jackass. like his lines are so good, or like the amount of times like they're calling people pricks and douchebags and bastards, and I'm like, wow, I think the dialogue here is fucking amazing. Like, but they are like so funny, and even like some of the stuff Red 13 does is funny. And again, he's kind of a serious character. But like when Barrett was like, they're just about to go into the Grasslands, and that amazing cutscene where you just open the door slowly and you get the music. But like when he's like, right, no more dates, you hear? And they're like, huh. And then he looks at Red 13, Red 13's like, huh. like as if he was gonna go on one anyway.
Yeah, he might.
So I just,
You never know.
I think he's an option.
Yeah. No one's off limits.
Nobody is off limits. But yeah, how do you guys find the writing so far? Are you finding it as funny as I am, or?
I'm probably not laughing as much as you are, but
Okay.
I think
'Cause
there
you're a
has been a
weirdo.
few moments.
Yeah, you're a few fuck creep. I am literally like laughing out loud.
There
I'm
has
enjoying
probably
it,
been
yeah.
a few moments where I've been like, "Ha," like that's good. I don't know if it's specific as what people are saying, or just more things that are happening, or. But I am very much enjoying kind of, in another sense, it is an enjoyable game. It is a goofy game, and I do like having that contrast of the really stark, serious one, which is Cloud, which is ridiculous in itself. He's 21 years age, like he's trying to be some cool chap, and he's not. He's just socially awkward.
He's a
And
very
and then
interesting
you're having,
character.
like the contrast of Earth, who essentially is just constantly playing with that idea of he's trying to be serious and she's like, no, we're gonna be goofy now. So I like that stark contrast, and even Barrett's trying to be something he's not, and they're a real ragtag, almost Guardians of the Galaxy crew. Like they
Yes,
have their moments of real heart, and then they have their moments of goofiness. But the thing for me that's really standing out with the writing, which is, like I said earlier, which is just the depth that they're going to expand the world and the characters and all that, and just really making it feel, believable, relatable. That kind of like socio-political situation. Now it's much more to an extreme because the first continent for sure is ruled by a fascist regime, but you can understand that a lot of people would have thought that way, and in certain times when they're underneath that kind of rule. And so
yeah. Hey man, I nearly bought into Rufus's speech. He gave a speech that was beautiful when he was talking about his late father and how amazing Shinra are, and the music.
He's really stepped up in this one.
He fucking is. I was like, you know what? Shinra's great.
I was just in remake. I wasn't really sure about Rufus. You know, he didn't really have enough screen time. I still don't.
No,
I still don't like his character design. His costume design.
I don't like the belts
in comparison to the other characters. And I think it's not a great one.
Right.
There's something about it that seems a bit. It's on any other character that probably would have been fine. I think it's just because he's the president of the company. I think it's just a little bit too street fashion, nearly, as opposed to something a little bit more regal, perhaps. But he's so well written here and so well performed, and definitely
he's amazing.
Sinister for sure. Yeah.
I think if he was just wearing the long white coat as it was depicted in,
he's wearing normal clothes, man.
You don't need to wear belts.
Stop dressing like a freak, will you?
Oh, he's dressing a bit like Lulu. Lulu had
a
her,
bit like a Lulu.
And then she had just a little shit ton of belts.
Yeah. It's a very Tetsuya Nomura kind of design, you know.
Yeah, which is I think it's actually a fine design if it was on any other character. I just think it doesn't suit him and his personality and all that.
Like if Roach had that, I think probably would be fine.
Maybe.
But then again, is there an element of like that they're trying to make it out that he's not very regal, and he was sort of the young, heir to the throne who was kind of off doing his own thing all the time, and maybe he wasn't a favorite, and this speech is to try and get people on side. Like,
I tell you who, even Andrea. If that was on Andrea, it would
Andrea Rodea.
I think that would make sense, and that's what I mean. I don't think Rufus in his spare time was working with the honeybee.
High fashion.
You know what I me?
You never know, man.
He might be a Vogue model in his spare time.
Maybe it just doesn't strike me that it isn't that I didn't quite get that from his speech. You know, like I didn't see that in Rufus Shinra's policies.
Yes,
caring about the people of the wall market.
Two things I'm curious about in the Junon section, right? One, did you guys go into the pub to see Rude?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I did.
That is quite funny. That's hilarious.
It's a good moment.
It's just that is gas. Two. What I wonder is, and I'm sure this didn't happen for any of you guys, if you fuck up the parade enough, do you get a bomb?
Huh?
What do you mean?
So in the original game, if you fuck up the parade,
right?
Like if you're really bad at it and you're out of sync and everything, and their TV ratings go down so bad, the TV presenter's like, "What is that soldier doing?" And at the end of it, you go, "Somebody send him a bomb," and you get a box that says "Received grenade." Like you actually,
that's great.
So if you do bad, what I'm wondering is in this, if you do badly enough. Now I didn't try it because I was like, no, I actually want to
probably
try my best. But on a second run, I'm gonna do so bad. I want to see, do you get a bomb? And if anyone's played it, do they know? Do you get a bomb, guys, if you fuck up the parade?
I'd give a trophy for that if that was the case. Yeah. I mean, I'd be surprised if they didn't actually.
Because every little thing, if it was there at all, they're kind of doing it, right? Like there doesn't seem to be anything that they're not doing. And there's even there was a moment, I can't talk about it now, but later on, there was a moment that happened when I was playing last night. I was like, what the fuck is that about? And I was like, oh yeah, and it's a thing from the original. And I was like, I can't even believe they're doing that. Like I can't believe they made that a thing. Stuff like that, which I love.
Have you gotten a hang of? So last time we discussed this game, we were kind of talking about the combat.
Yes.
Have you gotten in touch with the combat now? Do you understand the synergy side of things? How are you feeling? How are you feeling on
Kind
combat?
of. So combat, I mean, I'm loving combat because it's more or less the same as a remake. And then they just kind of added the synergy stuff. I kind of get it in that there's these little lines that fill up and they become blue.
Yeah.
I don't know how they fill up. I just know that sometimes they fill up, and I'm like, oh, I can use my synergy abilities now. Other than that, no, I don't know what you have to specifically do to get them,
So
but I understand how
during
it works.
combat, you hold R1 and you get options for synergy abilities, which are hotkeyed to your X square circle triangle, right?
Oh, we're talking about
And
those ones.
if you use them, no, but if you use them, it triggers those blue lines. Then if you trigger enough of the blue
Oh.
lines, you can use the bigger synergy
I
abilities, which
am-
are like limit breaks.
I am just over 20
As
hours in,
far
and
as
I
I know.
had no idea that was a thing.
Right. Well, there you go. As far as I know, that's what it is.
I never
Because I've
used
never
any
pressed.
of that hotkey stuff.
I've never pressed R1 in combat at all, and I was doing
And
synergy.
it's yeah.
I'm not sure what's bringing them out then. I always thought it was that, so then I kept doing it.
Maybe
Does someone
there's
know how do you build synergy? I just know that
I could read
when you
the
can
rulebook,
do it,
maybe.
when you can do it, they're fucking incredible.
Oh, they're awesome.
Yeah, they are
It's like
cool.
having more limit breaks.
Does it
they're
just
better
happen,
than
or are
limit
you
breaks.
supposed to tap something as it's happening?
No, it just happens.
It just happens.
I don't know. Do you guys like the folio system?
Yeah,
Yes,
kind of
and
reminds
no.
me of the sphere grid.
It's sphere grid. Yeah, it's
And
very
I've
like
been
the
able
sphere.
to. It's a weird one, right? I do like it, but I find now that there's certain things where I'm like, okay, well, I guess I don't need fire materia anymore. You know, like there's certain you're able to get certain abilities without needing to use
Not as powerful.
MP. No, it's not as powerful, but I only ever use it on things that have that as a weakness anyway. So
Yeah.
what I mean is that like I don't need if I had a character over there and I haven't got him in my current combat party, and that person has fire as a materia, I no longer have to remove it from that person really if I have someone, and I don't have to go buy another fire materia because I've unlocked it as an ability. So it kind of I'm not as precious about my materia anymore now that there's this extra thing. It's not necessary. I don't think they needed to add it.
No.
But I do like
but
it.
I like it.
That's the thing where I was saying towards the start of the episode where they changed the thing, and I don't really know why they did that, which is the folio thing.
Yeah.
So we used to have a sphere grid thing
For the
in
weapon upgrades.
remake for the weapon upgrades. Your weapon used to level up, and that would unlock new.
There was the proficiency thing. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I thought that was
So
in
this-
here somewhere, and I'm like, where the fuck is it? I know it's in here somewhere.
Yeah, it's
So-
not.
Because
You
there is
do-
technically
you-
a little proficiency bar on the weapons, though.
There is, and you
Yes.
can add little upgrades as you go. And I think the more deeper into the folio you get, you'll get more of those too. They're almost like little materia slots that give
For your
your
weapons.
weapon an extra ability or whatever.
Now, there is the weapon proficiency. That's still there. Each weapon has its own ability. You become 100% proficient with it. You unlock that ability permanently. So they still have that stuff. And then, yes, as Chris was stating, you get the new kind of materia options for your weapons as they get better, and you apply new abilities. But I just don't understand why they got rid of the actual menu.
Yeah.
I
Looked
do.
like this cosmic.
Yeah, maybe like the way it looked was cool, and I don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed that in remake.
Yeah.
But I do find now with the folio system to have it all streamlined on one page, because you used to have to go into each and every weapon and do it manually with each weapon, and it would take so long sometimes. You know, you go through a chunk of gameplay and you go in and suddenly you've got like 60 points to spend but on each and every weapon, and you're like, well, yeah, okay. It just took a long. Whereas the folio is like, this is like for your character across the board regardless of what weapon he's using.
So
But then with each individual weapon, you have an ability, a certain amount of materia slots, and the different proficiencies at the bottom. So that's your level of like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
No,
I do think
that's-
it makes sense for this one, just because I think remake. I really liked it in remake, and it works in remake because of just how not condensed the game is, but a little bit more focused. There's not as much to do in it. so the level of exploration was actually in weapon skill upgrade. Whereas
Yes.
here, it may be just way too overwhelming to have to think about all of that stuff. Plus,
Yeah, there's
all the
already a
exploration.
lot.
There is, because even when like even with the item transmuter thing,
Yeah,
Right, there's another
That-
thing.
that
right?
was
There's
like,
now I
what
don't need
the
to buy anything.
No,
There,
no, you
there
just
are a
make it.
few.
Just
Yeah,
collect stuff in the world.
there is a few kind of questionable stuff in the game that just kind of takes away from other. I think it's not overly balanced on all the things you can do. I haven't actually bought anything in the game really, unless it's at a discount. Then I do.
Yeah, I buy all the
I usually do
discount
too,
stuff.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. I do find though that I'm not enjoying the combat as much as I did in remake, and it's mostly.
Oh, I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
And it's mostly because one, I haven't gotten the grips. I'm gonna fucking end up reading the manual because I just can't understand the synergy thing.
Synergy, right?
And I think once I grasp that, maybe that might change. But I actually am finding that the ATB bar is taking forever to fill in this in
It
comparison.
seems slower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think so too.
I find I'm not really getting to do as much. And in remake, I was able to like swap between a character, like get a couple slashes in and do a special, immediately switch over to someone else, but their ATB is now ready. And I'm doing all these like really interesting balanced combos. Whereas in this one, I'm finding I'm doing a lot of waiting, and even when I get hit, my ATB isn't going up. In remake, when you get hit, it's almost like you're guaranteed. There's your bar now. As a
Yeah.
when you lose HP, you get more of a benefit from it. Your limit goes up quicker as well. In this, I find that the combat is actually taking longer, not because it's harder, but because I'm not getting to do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like they
Interesting.
made decisions to. I think what they found, right, with like, I would say the way you played remake, Adam, is the correct way to play it, right? But I think a lot of players didn't play it that way, and kind of just kept slashing as Cloud, or whatever. And I think what they wanted here is to, and then as Cloud would push R2 or L2, and give commands to the party members, but not actually switch to them ever.
Right.
I think they wanted you to manually have to manage each character. So it's like, look, at their ATB bar isn't just going to fill up on its own. Now, maybe they didn't balance that quite right, and I would agree with that. But I think the decision is to try and make you like actively control each and every character to engage them in the battle. And then the synergy abilities is where your combos come in, I suppose.
I think if I get a handle on the synergy, that might change things. Perhaps the ATB bar is slowed down to try and encourage more of these extra stuff to do. Possibly. I don't know how I managed to miss the tutorial on that, but I don't know how it works.
I was a bit like, especially in the first continent, I was like, this ATB is taking a while.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm on the second continent, I'm like, this ATB is going fast. I like my ATB
Maybe
and
it's a
limit breaks
folio
are now.
thing.
It could be a folio thing because my
Your
ATB and
ATB
limit
goes
breaks
faster. Yeah, maybe.
are fucking, they're on speed.
Yeah, I
now.
wonder if it's like because there is a materia for ATB boost as well. So perhaps you've
True.
maxed that one out. I don't think I have
Maybe
that equipped
because
anymore.
like when I'm playing, one of the characters that I play as, especially on the second continent, I'm 2 slices, my ATB is up, and I'm like, the fuck?
Yeah, that's what I want.
Like, yeah.
Send us your loadout.
nuts.
That's what I need.
Must be.
Well, what you need is a character that's probably not playable to you yet, but they're gonna be fast as fuck. You're gonna keep them in your party. I'm gonna put it that way.
That's the character I'm referring to. Their ATB just fucking
Their
shoots
ATB
up.
is ridiculous, and it's
Yeah,
just like,
okay.
right, well, every party's gonna have you in it then. I am finding that because when we were talking about the demos before, like the Junon demo, I was like, hey, this is cool now. I'm really excited for the game, but I'm not really gelling with it because I feel like I'm playing someone else's loadout, and I'm happy to say, like, playing the game from the start and customizing the characters as they go, I am so connected with the game, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't have that disjointed feeling anymore at all.
Yeah, you know your
And
stuff.
by time I got to Junon, I was like, I know exactly who I have, I know exactly what they have, and I've equipped them the way I want them equipped. Like, it feels good. What you guys think of Mr. Dolphin when you got to spend a bit more time with him and use him to jump
I
up
swam
onto the
into
thing?
so many arrows.
I didn't. I actually misread. I need to read the game more. There's so much to read.
There is a lot to read. Ash made that comment as she was watching.
There
it,
is
right,
a lot to read.
And I thought this was an interesting point, especially for someone who isn't maybe. So, like, we're playing the game with a certain perspective.
Yep.
Which is, we know the original and we want to see those beats and we want to see how they do those beats. However, if you don't know those beats, like when I was leaving Kalm earlier, and again, there was a lot of menus came up and stuff like that, and Ash was like, this game has no sense of urgency. And I went, what do you mean? She was like, there's like, the pacing is terrible. She's like, where, like, come on, go. Like, Shinra are after you, and you're reading again, you know what I mean? Broden showed you the exit, and then he gave you a tutorial and item transmutation or whatever. And she's like, just fucking go. So, I do think there is a sense of, like, I'm curious for people who don't know the original. Are they playing this game and being like, I'm having fun, these characters are great, what's the storyline? Like, what? Like, where's the story? Like, is it just, like, I get it, we're looking for Sephiroth, but, like, we're not in a rush about it. Like, we're chasing Mogs and Chocobo racing and playing Leapfrog. Like, what? Like, is there a rush at all, or is it okay? Like, is the planet safe, or is it in danger? Like, again, I'm happy to take my time. I know what's going to happen. I know the beats, so I'm exploring the world. But I do wonder, someone who's brand new to this, are they having a feeling of, like, because I was listening to a podcast, right, and there was a hardcore Final Fantasy VII fan on it, and 3 people who've never played Final Fantasy VII. They all love the game, but for different reasons. And the guy who's a hardcore fan was shocked then when they got to the story part, and the 3 of them were going, what story? And he was like, what? What do you mean, what story? You know, oh, do you mean what story? Like, the Tifa and the Cloud stuff and all? And they're like, yeah, but, like, what does that even mean? They're like, you don't even know what that means? You know, so he's like... You know, so we wouldn't get that because we're like, we also know the story. You know, we're going through the motions in a way. But I'm curious, like, how do people feel if they don't know anything? Are they a bit like, this is fun, but
it's probably like us trying to jump into a Kingdom Hearts or something, you know?
Yeah, we're like, don't get me wrong, this is goofy as fuck, but, like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what the onboarding is like for new players.
Or like when someone, like, when I was trying to I was asking Pagan out because I still don't understand the love for Bloodborne, and
yes,
and she was
I
like,
know this an ongoing battle for Adam.
and she's like, well, the lore is incredible, and I'm like, what lore? What? Like, everyone's going on about the story in the game. It's like, what fucking story? What
right, so you have that feeling. I wonder if there's people that come into this who've been told by all the marketing. By the way, even if this is your first Final Fantasy, it's a great place to start. I do wonder. I mean, for me, there's no confusion. I know what all this shit is.
Yeah,
but, like, someone could be like, "What the fuck is happening?"
I think Square actually did say that you don't need to play remake. You can just jump straight in. And I'm like, man, can you?
Like, you can, because there's that story so far option. But I'm like, yeah, but it's just not quite the same. It's like getting it's almost like playing Uncharted 3 or 4. And it's like, oh yeah, just watch the story so far. It's like, it's not the same. You don't have the same. Or playing Metal Gear Solid 4 or something like that. The appreciation
levels will not be the same. Like, no, you absolutely could enjoy the fuck out of the game. You could love it. But your appreciation for the moment-to-moment stuff can't be... In the same way as, like, when you played Remake, if you played the original... it's going to hit you way harder, and the stuff is going to mean way more to you. Whereas, like, if you play it the other way around, what you actually find is you go and play the original and go, oh, how come you don't go to Jesse's house in this one? You know
I wonder what percentage...
If you play the original and then remake, you're like, oh my god, you get to go to Jesse's house! You know?
I wonder what percentage of players, though, who have played the original versus who haven't, liked the ending of remake.
I know, yeah. I'm curious about that myself, yeah. And I wonder...
Well, there's a guy.
I wonder, are we all going to like the ending of this one? I don't know.
There's a guy I worked with who played remake, and he never played the original.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't really like the ending.
Okay. Right. Well, it was because it must have been confusing as fuck. Well, it was, even if you knew what was going on. It
was because he was like, the fuck, like, you're just fighting God at the end or some shit, and like, it just feels kind of shoved in at the end. Like, he didn't really like it. And I was like, okay, yeah, so it's actually, I had to explain to him that it is more of a sequel than it is a remake, and therefore that's not in the original, and I had to explain that to him.
Right, but and if you haven't played the original, you don't know that though. So you might be like,
No.
"That was a weird part in the original." So like, what? When you're leaving Midgar, suddenly, you know what I mean? You have this crazy boss fight with Sephiroth, and you're like, "No, actually, that's not true." You know, like I remember saying that when we were talking about remake, where I was like, "You could absolutely play it, but I don't think you can enjoy it as much if you don't know the original. I think you'll be lost." And I wonder, is there going to be a similar sentiment here, where it's nearly a different one, where it's like, is there a storyline? And we're like, yes, there's a storyline. Like this is the storyline. Now you're exploring the world and exploring the characters.
Is this going to be a bit like?
Gotta stick with it. Stick with it.
Is this going to be a bit kind of like? I don't know if this would be quite right, but a little bit. Well, it's going to suffer from sequel syndrome, isn't it? A bit like Two Towers, or a bit like The Matrix Reloaded, or something, where there is a story.
But it's also a middle part and a setup.
Yeah, but really it's just trying to get the characters are there and you're trying to get to there, and so now you just have all this stuff in the middle.
Right.
It's cool, it's interesting, but really you're just that last bit there, that's really what's important. That's what we're actually trying to get.
I think oddly enough though, isn't it, in films and I think in the movie realm, the sequels do not tend to be as good as the original. But in the
depends on the trilogy,
in the video game space though, the sequels tend to be better. It's to most players at least better than the original.
Uncharted 2,
Uncharted 2, God of War 2, Arkham City. Yeah, they do. Well, I don't know if people would consider Halo 2
because they
better,
learn from the game that came before and to build on it. I mean, I think objectively this is a better game. So at least so far than Remake, in terms of like if you want a gameplay experience. There is so much more to do, and it's all still fun to do.
It's way more RPG.
Oh, God,
I've way more RPG
as well. Yeah. There's two things I wanted to talk about as we come to the end of this, and then of course, like if there's more stuff you want to talk about too. We were talking about how incredible the music is earlier, and there's many times where it's hit me, but there's two pieces of tracks, three, that really like wow. One of them was the parade theme. I thought they nailed it. In vibe and everything. I thought they absolutely nailed the parade theme. The Life Springs theme, or the when you find the and you get the little hint of the Life Spring music. That's beautiful every time you find it, and I love it. And I'm willing to just do those little triangle button things because they're so quick each time. You get a bit of lore, and also the music is beautiful, so it's just a calming. It's like the fucking hot springs from Ghost of Tsushima or something. And then the other one was, I was like, how can you do another? Some of these you're like, how can you do another rendition of that track? I've heard it so many times and in so many ways. You know, how can you do another rendition of the Genova theme? You know what I mean? And then you hear a rendition of the Genova theme that's like something out of Hellblade. Yeah. Like the choir in it was creepy, and I was like, this is fucking incredible. And
what
also, it looked fucked up.
Such a Resident Evil boss or something like that, or it's fucking weird as shit. That was awesome.
What did you think of that fight? Because technically in the original game, that is the first time you fight Genova. So it's a pretty iconic boss fight.
Was it? Like, what the hell did we fight in the end of the Shinra building then?
Don't fight any.
In the original?
Yeah.
You fight a test subject creature thing. That is, it's in Remake as well. Yeah. But you never actually fought Genova in the Shinra building.
Yeah.
In the original.
Yeah.
So this is like the first time really. And I thought with all the arms that melded together, and as Sephiroth was talking about her as she came to form, I thought they really bigged her up into this really scary creature.
Well, the entire lead up to that with the, the possession of the hooded figures and stuff, like that was really cool. Like
really cool.
That whole sequence was very good, and it kind of led me to like, I wonder if they're actually even going to do Genova, like,
right for a moment, or is it just going to be creepy? And I liked the captain shooting them.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
And they were asking him not to, and he was like, "I had to for my crew." At one point, he put the gun. Then I was like, "Is he about to shoot himself?" Like it looked like but it was kind of a dark moment. It was really cool.
It was, yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
it was a cool fight.
Very good.
That was definitely a squeaky bum time for me. I was definitely going to die a lot. It was a ton of.
What difficulty are you playing on?
Normal? You must be on normal.
Oh, okay. I'm playing on easy.
I was playing easy for a while because I was like, I just want to experience this story and I don't want anything to like. I already know it's a big game and I don't want to be held back by stuff. I got to a point where I was like, this is too easy. So I changed it to dynamic.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
playing on dynamic at the moment, and it's been interesting. I've had a couple of game overs. I really need to do a little bit more battles though, because at the moment I'm in places where they're more exploratory.
Right.
So I need to do a few more battles to see how much does it adjust. The idea dynamic difficulty is that it will change depending on your skill levels.
Yeah.
So if you're finding the game, if it gets really hard and you keep dying, it should get easier.
Right. For
Or
a
if
moment.
you're finding it
yeah,
too
just to
easy,
kinda-
it should ramp up and get harder.
Most games
So
do
I'm,
that.
I'm playing with that at the moment.
Most games do that anyway. So yeah, it's interesting how they've kind of implement that. It's a good way of doing it because there's like this whole debate as to whether, you know, should hard even be a thing and should they make games accessible and all that kind of stuff. I think the dynamic difficulty setting makes a ton of fucking sense in that area.
Yeah.
I still think Tomb Raider has done it the best. You know, not the OG, the new ones where it's like
All right,
you
yeah.
can
Okay.
choose the difficulty of like, oh, I want hard puzzles but easy combat.
Yeah,
I
where you can
still
edit
think
that.
yeah, I think that's
Yep.
top tier in terms of difficulty
Yeah.
setting. But I liked playing remake on normal, which is why I want to do this one because I just feel like it makes you have to actually use shit. Like it's a bit like remember playing Snake Eater. Snake Eater on normal is the way to fucking play it. On hard, it's like. Yeah, if you're into it, fair enough. But I just feel like the normal difficulty, if you go below that, you never really have to actually hunt for food.
Mm-hmm.
No,
and,
you don't.
And therefore, you miss out on that crucial survival component. Here, I am having to use Phoenix Downs, and I'm like, you know, praying to fuck. I'm like, come on, Aerith, give me prey. And then the ATB goes up. I'm switching over, giving prey, switch back over. I have enough for a potion and then switch over to Bark, get a cure in, and now I'm like I'm ready enough now to start thinking how am I going to start fighting here. So there's been a couple of deaths in that, and I think I defeated Genova with like a sliver of health left with Cloud. So
that always makes you feel
it's
good,
just
right?
epic. It's so epic.
Yeah.
But
that choir singing
amazing
her theme was creepy. Like
Yeah.
really cool. And it makes me wonder just like again about like other tunes that are to come and what way they'll do renditions of them and like they're killing it. Is there anything else before we finish up then on the first continent and the stuff we're talking about so far? Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about that we didn't get a chance to?
Well, one of the things then when we played the demo was the question about where exactly does the title come into the game, right?
Yeah.
So how did you just feel about it?
I thought it really worked when it did come up because of the way the music, like because they did the little like going into the clouds and they played those first notes again of the original.
I think that works. I think once
that brought me in. As soon as it did that, it brought me in, and I was like,
then
great.
You get the
and having them walk and getting the splash also made it. It's like, okay, this is cool because in the first game when remake hit, at the moment when it showed, where you're seeing the exact same opening and the logo, it's like, okay, this is telling me that this is a remake of the original. But then as you play the game, that word remake will change, right?
Mm.
And again, this one, you're walking with Zack, and Rebirth comes on the screen. So it's like, so in this moment, you're telling me this is about Zack maybe being reborn, or he's not dead, he's alive. But as the game goes on, I guarantee that's going to mean something else. You know what I mean? I think Rebirth will mean something else. And I think that's really... I think they are so deliberate in their messaging. They're quite good at the symbolic storytelling so far. It's not everyone's
So is
cup
the
of
third
tea.
one, do you think it's going to be Reunion? But they've
No,
already
I
called
don't.
Crisis Core that, so...
Yeah, that's why I don't think it is.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been the perfect title, but
yeah, it would have been.
there's a reason they threw that out there. Like, there's a reason when they remastered Crisis Core and they said, yeah, call it Reunion. I think it was to take Reunion out, or to make it like, so that's now off the board. Now you don't know what we're calling the third one.
Yeah.
I think, and I'm nowhere near the end of this game, right? I put this on my X or Twitter or whatever a long time ago. and I've put it in other people. Anytime someone says, what do you think the third game is going to be called? I've stuck to this for a while. So if it happens, I'm going to be like, I predicted it. But if it doesn't, fair enough. I got it wrong. There's going to be lots of possibilities. I think it's going to be called Final Fantasy VII Revival.
Okay.
Because I think that's going to fit
Not
the naming
Revengeance.
scheme. Definitely not Revengeance. Definitely not Revengeance. No, I think it's going to fit the naming scheme of like to be remade, to be reborn, to be revived. You know what I mean? Like they all mean a remake essentially.
Yeah.
But also it's going to hint at the like I have no idea how this game ends.
Yeah.
But depending on how it ends, it might hint at it's like, oh, is there a chance to bring somebody back or something? You know,
Yeah.
Or is it Sephiroth being revived, or is it it'll have multiple meanings again, and that's why I think that's going to be the title. Do you guys have like a title that you have in your head at the moment, or they still might do Reunion, but I just think they probably won't.
No, that does get too confusing if they also call that one a Reunion.
Yeah,
Regenesis.
sure.
Rising.
Final Fantasy VII Rising,
The dark side of the moon rises.
re-rising, remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Remako.
Remako. Eric, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about before we wrap it up?
No,
It's okay if you don't.
No,
It's okay if you
not really, not really. I think we covered most.
Okay, guys,
most
so that's
things in the
it.
First content.
That's the first continent, but also a lot of what's in the gameplay. So, like, it's very possible that going forward, when we're talking about other sections, there's a lot of this gameplay stuff we won't be talking about again, unless there's particular side quests or new mini games or things like that. By fuck, is there a lot of mini games? So there might be more of that stuff to talk about, but it might be a lot more story driven going forward, especially now that the story is ramping up and the hunt for Sephiroth is truly underway. So stick with the brothers' take for the rest of our journey with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and our thoughts as the game goes on. The more we get into it, we'll have follow-up spoiler cast episodes, chronicling sections as we go, and when we get to the end of it, then we'll have the whole fun time to get back into like theory mode of like, what does this mean, and like, what does it mean for the next one, and all that kind of fun stuff is still going to come. So if you're watching this YouTube, make sure you are subscribed to the brothers' take. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Click the notification bell for all the future spoiler cast episodes of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And please do jump down in the comments to share your own thoughts on the game, anything that we brought up, and also what's your prediction for the third title so far. We want to hear that. To those of you listening on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and X at The Brothers Take again to give your take on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth so far. Please do not spoil in the comments or anything at the moment, anything beyond Chapter 5. We'll keep this section and anything on this episode to do with just the first 5 chapters. So people can go in and not be like, come on, you just have to spoil something later. So we'll do it section by section. So thank you very much for checking out this week's episode. We'll be back to talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Hang loose.
Oh.